Well, well, well. I'm back after a long, long holiday of dealing with family and craziness and just crazy driving down in Florida. I had a bit of a thought while I was just like sleeping in the plane or whatever, just about, recently with Twitter and whatnot about artificial intelligence. Basically, you can just hijack people's art right now and just use it for whatever you want, which is kind of fucked up. Why? Well, a lot of these artists don't really want their work being bastardized or using to be, you know, basically sacrificial data to the AI overlords, where it continues and furthers the algorithm in teaching the robot to make stuff and create stuff on its own. So it kind of really led to my thoughts like, well, why do we place so much emphasis on how AI is going to replace everyone? I think there are a lot of things that I take issue with AI, i.e., the idea that we can somehow fundamentally replace human interaction or any human input in work, art, and life in general. We want to somehow forego our own desires and will and give it over to someone else, to some algorithm or robot, and they'll decide for us. Which really makes you think, well, what the hell is the point of believing in the idea of liberty or freedom when people just give it up so easily? They would rather be told what to think and how to think rather than do it themselves. And it really makes you realize that most people are the lowest common denominator possible, which is an unfortunate truth about a lot of things in the world, is that most people are not moral or great. They're pretty much in the middle of a lot of things, and sometimes a lot of them are pretty bad or worse. So, hence why people wonder, well, why is the world so bad as it is? Well, it's because people are just not good. Most people aren't moral. Most people aren't the best at what they do, you know, or they have a lot of gray in their life. And, I'm not excluded from that either. I'm not perfect either. But I take I do take issue with the idea that I would willingly give my will over to the machine god. The machine is stronger than I. It shall replace my flesh, for the flesh is weak and the machine is stronger. Fucking Warhammer 40k bullshit with tech priests and whatnot, where they worship the AI god, the robot god, the Omnissiah. But in all seriousness, why would we ever want to willingly replace human artistic beauty and replace it with an algorithm? There are a lot of people who are like accelerationists or transhumanists who just want to say fuck you to humanity and replace humanity. But I think there's one major flaw with that idea that you can replace humanity. We're under the impression that somehow a AI can become sentient on its own. And I really don't believe that a robot can become sentient, like truly sentient. Because how does a machine comprehend emotion? Like obviously you have the textbook definition, but how would it be able to comprehend emotion? It's a being, a creature, I guess you could say, or a construct, a robot made through pure logic, pure rationality, ones and zeros, yeses and nos. So how do you expect this thing to have sentience, to have the same brain functions as a human? Because what a lot of people fail to understand is that a lot of people are not rational. Human beings are not inherently rational. I think that's my greatest issue, is that, through the Enlightenment and whatnot, people have come up with the assumption that human beings are purely rational creatures. We don't have ideas of sentimentality or emotion. Those things are of the unrational. But human beings are not rational. We are creatures of stories and emotion. And we're complicated. And we make really dumb decisions based purely off of emotion. So, how would a machine even develop sentience in the same way as a human? Let alone the stupid fucking idea that you can upload your brain to the cloud, which to me it makes no sense because I feel like people don't understand the concept of consciousness. Like, just because you upload a copy doesn't mean that you somehow transferred your soul to a fucking computer. That's stupid. It makes no sense. You just literally made a copy of yourself. That's not sentience. That's not uploading your brain to the machine and somehow you're a part of the machine now. You just literally made a copy. And how would the copy even function in the same way? Would this copy of you have the same emotions and whatnot? Because, like, again, it's like, how do you have the brain chemistry for, like, sadness, depression, happiness? Would it just be pure rationality? And at that point, are you even really human at that point? You know, these are really important questions to ask. Because I feel like all these people are, like, so deep into the sci-fi movie bullshit, they don't really ask the fundamental questions. Well, okay, is this dude even there? Or is it just literally just a computer trying to mimic someone? Obviously, there's been plenty of media, you know, like Blade Runner and all that shit, where it's like, yeah, it's, you know, they're perfect copies, and, you know, the copy is somehow a more authentic representation of the original since it's trying to mimic and copy what it has seen. It's like attempting to be more authentic in a sense. But to me, it still doesn't make sense. It doesn't make fucking sense at all. And trying to continuously feed these algorithms and data centers with all this information, it really makes me wonder, well, what's the fucking point of it? Like, why do you need all this? Because from how I see it, society itself is fundamentally crumbling. And we're trying to build essentially what looks like to me a Tower of Babel out of making a fucking giant data center. It's like, as long as we keep feeding more information into the data center, all the art, all this information, all the biometric data, somehow we're going to make things better through more algorithms and science. Trust me, guys, everything's going to get better. When you come to the fundamental issue, well, no, things aren't going to get better because your computer has more processing power and information. It's stupid. That's why I don't really like tech bros and, like, these AI lovers. Like, I'm not inherently against AI. I just don't think that we're very morally ready to use artificial intelligence. Because technology itself is a neutral thing. It's neutral. You can use it for bad or for good. And from what I see it right now, I don't think humanity's even really ready to use artificial intelligence in a moral way. It's not that I'm against artificial intelligence, I just don't think people are moral enough to use it. Hence, we are undeserving of the technology. But it seems to me people are going to push this irregardless because they somehow want to worship some robot god that they built themselves rather than realizing, well, maybe this is a really stupid idea because you're trying to somehow replace humanity with something else. Why would you ever want to do that? Why would you want to replace your own existence with something else? It makes no sense to me. And trying to replace artistic beauty, art itself, and outsource it to something that just fucking creates the most appealing thing by means of the algorithm, it's kind of taking the soul out of everything. You know, people like to equate AI to the Industrial Revolution, and in some ways it's somewhat true. It does make some things more efficient if used in its proper context, but why would you ever want to use AI for art? Why? I mean, it makes some things easier, true, and it's not like I'm fully against the use of AI helping you make sketches and whatnot, but for me, it makes no fucking sense that you would want to outsource the entire process of making a nice piece of art. It's fucking stupid. Because you take all the soul out of it. There's no authenticity to it. There's no soul to it. And I mean, it doesn't help for the art people who like are highly against AI, is that a lot of art nowadays is just crap, and a lot of the attitudes of artists is really bad. Hence why people kind of choose to maliciously do AI with art, because they just see a lot of artists as insufferable bastards, and I don't blame them. I don't blame them. If you're just extremely unlikable people, and that's how a lot of Western artists are, unfortunately. A lot of them are just very unlikable people. Um, you're not going to get any sympathy when they see your livelihood being outsourced and replaced. They're just not going to be sympathetic because you were not nice to them, not charitable, and just very unprofessional in a lot of ways. You know, and I said this in a previous video before about, you know, is AI going to replace artists and whatnot? In my opinion, I don't think fully, but I think a lot of artists are just going to fall by the wayside because it's like, well, why get an artist that bitches and bemoans and complains when you can just get a machine that'll just do it instantly without any complaining, without being lame, without being unprofessional? It's quite simple stuff. People choose the path of least resistance. If the artist is trying to do work that's so resistant and so painful, so annoying, well, yeah, no shit, someone's going to choose a machine over you. They don't care if it's inauthentic. They'd rather choose something that's easy and to get a good piece of art might not be purely authentic and done by the hard work and effort by a person, but at the very least, it wasn't a fucking complete ordeal to deal with you. You know what I mean? Like, luckily for me, most artists I've done commissions with were pretty, you know, quick, communicative, and they got the work done in like a few weeks. And I'm completely fine with that. And I got my money's worth. But I know people who have plenty of horror stories that deal with that shit. It's fucking horrible. Hence why you deserve to lose your livelihood in some ways. And, you know, in some ways I'm not really sympathetic to a lot of artists because, you know, a lot of them have a bad attitude. And this is with a lot of other places, like screenwriters. People aren't going to be sympathetic to them when the AI algorithms try to replace them with AI writing teams. Because, again, they produce slop, they have bad attitudes. Might as well just replace it with a robot. It'll still produce slop, but at least you don't have to deal with terrible and awful people that annoy you. But that's just the unfortunate reality of what I see AI going, is that AI will probably keep going. It will have its limitations, absolutely. I don't believe artificial intelligence is going to fucking replace everything. I really don't believe that. I see a lot of issues with artificial intelligence, and this idea that you can somehow replace humanity with a robot is just fucking absurd. It's absurd in my opinion. It doesn't really make sense, because there's just so much limitations. It can't do the same things as a human does. But artificial intelligence combined with human input, oh my god, there's going to be so much efficiency. So much things will get done in a lot of ways. But there'll still be issues, no doubt. But I think those will be the growing pains of just a new emergent technology that will change the work environment and life in general. Unless people really start getting up in arms about artificial intelligence. But unfortunately, I think people are far too divided, and a lot of the work that's getting replaced is basically the work of insufferable people. A lot of insufferable people. Hence why I feel like a lot of people are just unsympathetic. It's like, oh, artists are losing their jobs because AI just makes the process quicker and better? Shit. Give me the AI. Give me AI. Oh, the screenwriters in Hollywood are getting replaced by AI screenwriters? Give me the AI. Oh, voice actors getting replaced by AI? Yeah, give me the AI. Because again, all these fields are filled with a lot of insufferable people that are fucking annoying. I'm sorry if you are one of these people or are sympathetic to those people, but it's just true. You can't bullshit me on that. It's simply just true. You cannot complain of being an asshole, insufferable shit to everyone around you, having a bad attitude, and expect people to be sympathetic when you start losing your jobs, when you've just been very unlikable, extremely unlikable to others. You just can't. You can't complain. But at the end of the day, this is just the way of the world, and things will change either for the worse or for better. I'm not really sure where this will go, especially with what's happening on Twitter right now, with all of the art just being edited and changed however they please without the artist's permission, which is kind of fucked up in my opinion. I think there was a fix, but I don't think a lot of people have done much with the fix. But yeah, we'll see, my friends. We'll see. All right. Thank you guys for listening, and goodbye.